Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be looking at the top 5 winners and losers, in my opinion, at this year's trade deadline. I would have made this video so much sooner, and I know I'm a little late to it, but school's been so crazy and busy with final exams, a lot of them coming up. So I have finally found the time to be able to finally record this and hopefully edit it tonight so that it can be out hopefully tomorrow, which is Friday. So let's get straight into it, starting off with my first winner. And my first winner at this year's deadline is actually a seller, and that seller is the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks made so many good trades. Their Josh Manson trade, they got a lot of good assets. They traded away Hampus Lindholm and got a ton back for him. And they got something back for Delorier, a third, which is solid. And they also, alright, I know I'm saying they got it back a lot, but they got a ton back for Ricardo Rakell. Well, not a ton. They got a pretty good return for him. So overall, Anaheim did a really good job of selling off at this deadline. I don't think they saw themselves as sellers until close up to the deadline after they went on a huge skid. But at the end of the day, I think that it was the right decision for them to sell and for them to realize that they do need another year or two before they really make that push for the playoffs. And this is going to help them a lot in their future. Drew Helleson could be an NHL level defenseman someday. They got a first, they got a lot of seconds at this trade deadline. And yeah, there's just a lot of assets here that could really turn to something. Even Cal Klang, the goaltender from Pittsburgh, who ended up being the prospect that they got, could be a very good NHL goalie someday. He's putting up some solid numbers in the SHL right now. But again, with goalies, you never know. But Anaheim, a really solid job at selling this deadline. So good on them. But now turning the tides, and actually a team that was involved in one of the trades that Anaheim made. For a loser, I have Boston. Boston didn't make many trades. They only made one with Anaheim and one with Ottawa. Now the Ottawa one, they got Josh Brown and a conditional 7th for Zach Senyshyn and a 2022 5th. And honestly, I don't think this was a bad trade. Josh Brown will give them some depth, and Zach Senyshyn, probably, he's not going to be much, probably, maybe a depth defenseman in the future. But where they really become losers is in that Anaheim trade. Now, good for Boston, they got Hampus Lindholm, but the price they paid was such a large amount that I don't even know if it was worth it. They gave up a 2022 first, a 2023 second, a 2024 second, Euro Vakanainen, who could end up being a solid NHLer one day, and like a third pairing defenseman, and John Moore, which was purely there for cap reasons. But this is a lot to give up for a rental at the time, and Hampus Lindholm. Now, signing him to a contract makes it a bit better, but at the time he wasn't signed, and I still think that they probably could have gotten him for less because, man, they gave up a ton here. But again, this is props to Anaheim. That's why they were in the winners category. And it's kind of a reason why Boston is in the losers category, is mainly this trade. But now on to a winner, and a winner that only made one trade at this deadline because they saw a for free sign on Max Domi, and they immediately pounced on it, and that is Carolina. Carolina acquired Max Domi, all right? Very good player, Max Domi. You know him, we all know who I'm talking about. And they got rid of, they also got Tyler Yamamoto, but they got rid of Aiden Hreschuk and Igor Korshkov. Now, you tell me who those guys are. I'll give you 5 seconds. Exactly. You don't know who they are because they're not NHLers, and they probably won't be. No offense to those guys, but come on. Really? Max Domi for those, and they had to get rid of those to get Max Domi and a guy? And a guy. And they got rid of that. And a 6th round pick. Did I mention the 6th round pick that they gave up? No, because it doesn't matter. It's nothing. They got Max Domi for nothing. And Columbus, we'll get to them soon. Very soon, I promise you. But Carolina, great job. They saw the for free sign. They're like, oh, what? Yeah, I'll take Max Domi for free. Oh, yeah. And they did. Very good trade. Very good trade for Carolina. Because to the losers, we have Columbus. Columbus, now you know how I said Carolina gave up some of those assets? Some of those assets were to Florida for retaining another 25% of the salary on Max Domi. But the assets that Columbus actually acquired from giving up Max Domi, Aiden Hreschuk. He's not going to be an NHL player. Why? You might as well just kept him. You might as well just kept him. You were like, you could have got so much, and Columbus could have done more with Jonas Korpisalo and a couple other players. And Max Domi, who they said they were going to sell, which is fine. He's a UFA, I believe, so maybe they weren't going to re-sign him or he wasn't going to re-sign. But you got nothing for him. Look at what Calle Yarncroke got, a 2nd and like a 6th and or a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 7th. And Max Domi got this guy. Who's this guy? What's his name? I don't know. He doesn't play in the NHL. That's what I know, and he probably won't. So Columbus, not good. Carolina, good. you two can sort of be combined in this winners and losers because you two are both my second. And yeah, I think really it goes for both. So far we've only had a team in the winner and then a team in the loser who've been involved in the same trade. I think that's about to change because the next team I would about to get into is, man, where's the paper? I'm so baffled. I'm still baffled by the whole Columbus thing. Don't worry, I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting to the page. All right, I might not cut that out. The next winner is the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild made a few good choices, unlike the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Minnesota actually, they made their team a lot tougher and a team that may not be as easy to win out in the playoffs. Minnesota, they got Tyson Jost for Nico Sturm. Really, that's kind of a one-for-one depth forward trade, but Tyson Jost, they obviously see something in him, and I don't think that's a bad trade at all. They also got Nicolas Deslauriers. That definitely adds some toughness to their lineup. They got Marc-Andre Fleury. That'll help their goaltending out. And they got Jacob Middleton for Kaapo Kähkönen after they acquired Fleury, so revamping that goaltending a bit. And they also gave up a 2022, or they got a second, and they had to give up the rights to Jack McBain. I really think that's the best that you were going to get if you were Minnesota. But at the end of the day, Minnesota's a team that I could see many people not having on the best teams at the deadline, but I do. Minnesota, I think they did a really good job of making their team harder to play against headed into the playoffs and really giving what could be, I don't know who they're going to play. The Central's really messed up. Who knows? But they're going to be giving that team a hard time, and they could even maybe go a few rounds in the playoffs. Now, the Marc-Andre Fleury trade, they didn't even have to give up a first, probably. Let's see, the conditions on that trade are a first if the Wild reach the conference finals, and I believe if Fleury plays 5 games or contributes to 5 wins or something in those games that they play. So really, Minnesota does, again, a great job, and I like the Jacob Middleton pickup as well. And yeah, good job on Minnesota. But now moving on to a loser, and this loser did not do much, and that's part of the reason they're there, and that is Nashville. The Nashville Predators really did nothing except for make a couple of minor trades and a bad deal, and that bad deal you could see Jeremy Lauzon for a second, really, a second for Jeremy Lauzon. I think I'm saying it wrong, but a second. Seattle probably they're like, all right, they called Seattle, they're like, hey, what do you, Jeremy Lauzon for a second? What? They were baffled. They were like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. This is insane. Because Nashville, they definitely really overpaid for Jeremy Lauzon, him, and they only made a couple of minor deals. They had so much opportunity, they had so much cap space. They could have really done something with it. They have cap space going into next season, but no. They choose an early exit in the playoffs. That's what they choose. Another year of Roman Josi being a Norris candidate, another year of Jussi Saros being a Vezina candidate. Out the window for a first-round exit. That's good. I mean, maybe they don't. You never know. Teams can surprise. But on to the next winner, and this is another seller, and that is the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens and their new GM, who I forget the name of. Is it Alvin or is that Vancouver's? Oh my God, I'm going to seem like an idiot. I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention to the GM's name. But Montreal, their new general manager, does a really good job of selling off assets, getting way more than you would have guessed for them. Because even Ben Sherratt, Brett Kulak, Artturi Lehkonen, all 3 of those guys got more return. Montreal got more back than I thought that they should have, which is a good props to Montreal. Montreal in the Ben Sherratt trade, they got a 2023 first, not protected of any kind, a 2022 fourth, and Tyler Smilanic, who probably won't end up being anything great, but again, you never know. He's 20, he's playing in the NCAA, and he has about a half point per game, and he's a forward, so probably won't turn into much, but again, it's still an asset and a young forward. And again, with Ben Sherratt, I did not think that they would even get a first. I did not think they should get a first. Actually, I thought they'd get a first. I figured some team would be willing to give up a first, and that team was Florida. But Florida was also willing up to give up a fourth and Tyler Smilanic. So Montreal does a really good job of getting assets back for Ben Sherratt, as well as Brett Kulak, who they got a second back, and William Lagesson. And Edmonton, I wouldn't say they fleeced them, but they definitely got the most that they could. I know Edmonton wasn't willing to give up a first-round pick, but Montreal definitely got as much as they can and takes away another second-round pick. So what is this? The 4th year in a row that Edmonton has no second-round pick? Yeah, it's been a while. I don't think it matters that much. We're trying to win. Ken Holland doesn't know that, though. So there's a bit of an issue there. But Montreal gets a ton back for Brett Kulak and Artturi Lehkonen. They get a second and Justin Barron, who is a highly thought of defensive prospect, and I just think that they do a really good job of getting the most that they can out of their players that they're selling. And Montreal, who knows, maybe with their better second half and a couple of bad years, maybe this won't be as long of a rebuild as it initially looked like. Maybe it could be a quick retool, couple of good draft picks, maybe a Shane Wright in there, throw in mix in a little bit of Connor Bedard, and bam, you're back in the playoffs. So who knows? But now on to a loser, and this loser is the St. Louis Blues. Now the St. Louis Blues only made one trade this deadline, and really there wasn't many crazy losers, so St. Louis Blues make the cut. St. Louis acquires Nick Leddy and Luke Witowski, and they got rid of Jake Wallman, Oscar Sundqvist, and a 2023 second round pick. This trade, I think St. Louis brutally overpaid for Nick Leddy. Nick Leddy's aging, he's not playing good, his defensive numbers have completely collapsed, and they paid a second for him, Oscar Sundqvist, who's a very usable NHL forward, as well as Jake Wallman, who can be a utilized defenseman on that bottom six, or on that bottom pairing, or depth defenseman. And they get Nick Leddy, and it's a rental. It's not even like a... It shouldn't be. I hope it's not. I hope they don't keep him over the offseason because he's old and he's continuing to decline. And of course they get him at half salary because Nick Leddy has an expensive contract. But why? There were better defensemen you could have gotten out of and you got Nick Leddy. And Nick Leddy's having a rough year and he's old, and I keep saying that, but there's a reason I'm saying it, and it's because they probably shouldn't have got him. Because he's not the same defenseman that he was a couple years ago, and he's just... There were better options. But now on to my final winner and loser. No, where are we? Oh yeah, my final winner and loser. And for my final winner, I have the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers did a great job of improving their forward depth and their defensive depth. They got Frank Vatrano for only a 4th round pick. I think that's a very good pickup. They got Justin Barron for a 3rd round pick, another good pickup. And they got Tyler Mott for a 4th round pick. Once again, a good price and a good pickup, helping their forward depth. And then their big move was Andrew Kopp from the Jets, where they gave up 2 seconds. That one could become a first, I believe, depending on how far. I think they have to make the conference finals in the playoffs. And Morgan Barron, who's a forward, they gave up. Not a crazy good prospect, and a 2023 5th. So I think really Rangers did a really good job of not giving up a lot of assets while getting a lot back and improving their team quite a bit, and really showing that they should be capable of going on a long run in the playoffs. With Igor Shesterkin in net, the problem wasn't obviously not Igor Shesterkin, it was the defense in front of it sometimes lacking, but mainly the offensive depth not coming in. You'd see all these goals scored by the same 4 guys every game, and they might have just fixed that issue to a decent extent by getting literally an entire line of forwards, of depth forwards. Andrew Kopp's a guy who can be in your bottom 6, he can be in your top 6. He's really, what's the word? He's really adjustable, I'll say. I don't know what it's called, movable in that sense. And they get Tyler Mott, who's been very good in his time in Vancouver, as well as Frank Vatrano, who is a consistent 3rd line guy, maybe 4th line, but 3rd line guy, I'll say. And this just really helps them out in heading into their playoff push. And the last loser on this list, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, in the Barber side, right there, you'll see Vegas, but there's no trades. So why are they on the loser list, you might be asking yourself. And this is because, well, they came into the deadline, they possibly needed a goaltender, they possibly needed to shed a bit of cap space off of their cap hit, and they did none of it. So it's a bold strategy, I'll give them that, it's a bold strategy. Now, they did try to do some of that by getting rid of Dadonov, but they didn't look at the no-trade team list, so they failed to get rid of Dadonov, which means that they still have Dadonov's full cap throughout the rest of the season and next season, which also means that Vegas, if Martinez or Mark Stone comes back, cannot run nearly a full roster lineup while on the ice. So there are a few issues with what Vegas has decided to do. Again, bold strategy. I'm not sure I would have done it personally, but yeah, a real mess up for Vegas in the sense that, like, in all seriousness, a huge mess up for Vegas. Like, you got Dadonov and you didn't look at the no-trade team list, really? Claiming that Ottawa didn't give it to you? That's not Ottawa's fault. You have to make sure you have the no-trade team list before you make the trade. That's just how it is. So, I don't know what to tell you. I did kind of like the trade for Anaheim at the time it was there as well. But that's besides the point. Vegas completely messes up. And now they're really in cap hell right now. And for the rest of the season, at least the rest of the season. They're going to have a lot to do in the offseason. A lot of trades to make to clear off some cap space. And they might have to treat this year as an off year. Because with their cap hit still being where it is and their team losing, I just don't see them making the playoffs this year. I think you have to consider this year as an off year, which is insane to think about. Because everybody was like, oh, Vegas, if they don't get first, this is a rough year for them. This would be a very below expectation year if they don't win first in this easy Pacific Division. And they might not make the playoffs. So it's pretty interesting to see. But Vegas, that's my last team on my losers list. And if you are still here, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting me. You know, that's what keeps me going a little bit. I'm hopefully going to get this video out by tomorrow. We'll see how much work I can get done tonight because, yes, I have a math exam tomorrow, trying to get this done quickly. I put in a lot of work, so that should go well. Please, if you're seeing this, give me 10%. You won't be seeing this. I really hope not. Please don't. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. My hair's a little rough today. Oh.